Hello to all my bonsai friends on YouTube. It's Lee with Lee's Trees. Today we have a Portulacaria afra. This is a tree or cutting taken from my big tree that I've gotten from Weigert's I've talked about before. But what's really special about this one is this is my leap year tree. I took this cutting on February 29th of 2024. And I had it started rooting in a different type of a little container, and then a few months later, once it started getting some roots, I put it into this ceramic container here. And I have it on the rock, of course, because I have it designed as a leaning or sort of a windswept cascade style. And so eventually in time I'll be able to take the rock out and the roots will have enough strength to hold it by itself. But since it's only been a little over a year, it's still getting some good thick roots in there. And of course in time when I replant it, I'll adjust the angle slightly. But for now we just have it sitting there and letting it again continue to root and grow and trying to keep it from getting too tall. So we are going to do a tiny little pruning on it. I did prune this tree a couple of days before I started deciding to film some videos. And you can see it's already has a few little spots here that could be cut back already. Not very much. There's a little tall one inside here. I don't know how well you can see that. A little spot there. I'm going to take this little piece off that's going up, and I'm going to leave that to go out. Got a big stem up in here we can take out. A little piece growing backwards there. All right. And like I said, I wasn't going to do much with this today. Like I said, I gave it a little bit of a prune just before I started to film videos. But I said, this is my leap year tree because I took this cutting and started on February 29th of 2024. And this is the first week of April. Hi, thanks for watching. So about 3 weeks ago when I made that first video, I didn't have too many plans for my leap year Portulacaria. I intended to just let it grow. Now last year when I first took the cutting, I also didn't know that you wanted Portulacarias to be in a glazed ceramic, not in a unglazed ceramic. So today we're going to go ahead and remedy that. And I told you that you'd be seeing that real soon. And so today we're going to go ahead and do the repotting and see how it looks. I think it's going to look great. All right, so let's get started. First we can take a rock out of here, set it off to the side. And very carefully, I don't have it tied in or anything. Let's give a little poke here. Oh, it has not rooted very much in the last 14 months. I was really hoping for a lot more roots. So I'm going to be very careful in trying to remove this mesh here. I have to lay my tree down. There we go. Okay, wow. I was really hoping for a lot more. Okay, well, I did not prepare my pot, so I'll be right back. Okay, so for this pot, we're just going to use some window screen. It's cut slightly larger than the bottom of the pot is, so that as I push it down in there, it comes up the sides a tiny bit. And we will not be wiring this tree in because there isn't really anything to wire to, unfortunately. And we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of large rock in the bottom there. Try not to breathe too much dust. And again, there's no problem with reusing this old soil. It was never a problem of the soil. Actually, let's start over. And I am going to set this offset a tiny bit. Actually, I might want to take a moment and give my pot a really good look here. So there's actually a little rough spot on the back side here facing you at the moment. And so I'm going to actually choose that as my front there. Put the rough spot at the back carefully. And as you see, I'm going to put that little off center towards the back corner a tiny bit. Oops, careful. Don't make too big of a mess here. As you see, I am going to try to tilt it up a tiny bit. Okay. For a moment, let me put my rock back. And I've got my tool sitting here right in front of the camera. So it doesn't really have a lot of roots. Don't really need to chopstick it a whole lot. Oh, careful. Let's see how much more of this we can fit in here. I've got a little hole up front here, and that looks good. Okay, let's bring it back to center here. Okay, so as you can see, it's set off to the back a tiny bit, and it's set off to, from your angle, that would be off to your right a tiny bit. And I will wait till tomorrow to give this a watering. And actually, I might have to do something. Okay, since I don't have a lot of roots to stabilize the tree in the pot, and this rock, it seems to have a little bit of a wiggle to it. And let's see what that does for us. So that actually I think is going to hold it up the way I want it to be held up. Yeah, the other way it was sort of tipping a tiny bit. That looks like it's going to hold there. So actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a couple of things. Let me grab my wire cutters here. So I'm going to wrap a piece of wire around the pot carefully, because I don't want to mark up the glazing too much, or any at all actually. And let me very carefully feed this through. Okay, well, I made that really, really long for no reason. Okay. Let's grab some pliers here. I'm just very gently just going to snug that just the tiniest little bit. I'm sure I could. Okay. And now, without pinching it too terribly bad, okay, so first, actually, what I want to do is use those to stop the wire from turning and twisting on the tree so that I can tighten that down to hold the tree where I want it to be held. And now, okay. All right, well, it might not look the greatest for at the moment, but in time, it'll get, hopefully by the end of this year, with this growing season, that'll all fill in with a lot of really good roots. We'll be able to take all that off and it'll be able to hold itself up in place. But for right now, I think, well, it still wiggles if I move it too much. So once I get it out on the bench, I'm going to keep it inside tonight because we might be getting some rain. Like I said, I won't water it till tomorrow. Put it out on the bench tomorrow. Get it in the sun. Hopefully, like I said, the wind won't be able to, move it around too much. I might end up putting another rock or two on it once I get it on the bench to fully stabilize it so that we, if it moves around too much, it doesn't want to grow too many roots. So, okay. We will take it back in and give it another little spin for you. One more little spin here. I really like the blue pot. Thank you.